Subscribe to LearnCap and hit the bell icon to get notified.
So bills of exchange, this topic was covered in your junior college also. अगर आपने option में नहीं छोड़ा, if you didn't leave this in option in 11th or 12th, then I'm sure you know the basics of it. Still, in my experience of last 20 plus years, I have seen that sometimes students leave this topic in option in 12th standard. So if you are someone who did that, who committed that mistake, अगर आपने भी option में छोड़ा है, then definitely you need this class, you need this lecture. ध्यान से सुनिए, okay? So why is bill of exchange needed? First of all, let's understand that. So first of all, why do we need bill of exchange? There is someone who is a seller and someone who is a buyer. So let's say Mr. A sells goods to Mr. B or Miss B, whatever. So if there is a credit transaction, okay, there is a credit transaction. A ने B को उधारी पे माल बेचा, A sells goods on credit, तो A becomes the creditor and B becomes the debtor, right? I hope all of you know कि debtor में B silent होता है, debtor नहीं बोलना है, it is debtor. So creditor and debtor. Most important thing for us to understand that when bill of exchange is to be drawn, there has to be a debtor-creditor relationship. जो बंदा bill draw कर रहे, the person who will draw the bill and the person who will accept the bill, जो accept करेगा, इन दोनों के बीच there has to be a debtor-creditor relationship. Otherwise, a bill cannot be drawn. अगर इनके बीच में ये relationship नहीं है, if there is no relation of debtor-creditor and bill of exchange is drawn, then this bill of exchange will become illegal. I hope you are aware there is an act known as Negotiable Instruments Act. ये नाम सुना है आपने? Have you heard this name? Negotiable Instruments Act? Yeah, very good. Thank you. So the word negotiable means transferable. And the word instruments here means documents. So we are talking about an act, we are talking about a law, एक act, एक कायदा, which talks about transferable documents. Okay, and bill of exchange definitely is a transferable document. इसको आप transfer कर सकते हो, it can be transferred from one person to another, right? Do you know any other negotiable instruments? आपको और कोई instruments याद है, मालूम है? Treasury bill. Oh, treasury bill is not transferable. Not for the general public. Let me just take you one step ahead. Have you seen this? Have you ever seen a promissory note? This is a bearer promissory note. See, the Reserve Bank governor has given us a promise. I promise to pay the bearer the sum of 200 rupees. So my dear friends, all of you have used currency notes, right? And a currency note is a bearer promissory note. Now, today when you go back after this lecture, when you open your module, this, just check out the definition of promissory note. In that definition, it is written that a promissory note is blah, 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 not being a banknote or currency note. It is specifically mentioned. मतलब ये बैंक नोट या करेंसी नोट सिर्फ कौन इशू कर सकता है? RBI, government. You and I, the common man, we cannot issue bearer promissory note. Why is it called bearer promissory note? Because right now I am having it. Now if I hand it over to my team member, it becomes his note. It is his note. If I hand it over, let's say to Aditya here, it becomes his note. It's a bearer promissory note. So a bearer promissory note can be transferred by mere delivery. It can be transferred by simply handing over from one person to another. So all your life आप एक promissory note use कर रहे थे, आपको पता नहीं था ना? You were not aware, right? I thought what I told you is very exciting and you would want to share, oh wow, we didn't know that. But look at you. I was talking about this, more negotiable instruments. So I gave you one example, promissory note, and Aditya has given me one more example, check. A check is also a negotiable instrument. A check can be transferred, a check can be endorsed, a check can be sold. Okay. So again, right now we are focusing on bill of exchange. Let us go ahead with bill of exchange. So what is the definition? An instrument in writing containing an unconditional order signed by the maker directing certain person to pay a certain sum of money only to go to the order of a certain person or the bearer of the arrangement. If you try to buy heart a definition like this, it is going to go completely over your head. पूरा bouncer जाएगा. कोई भी definition सीखना है, you want to learn any definition, simply break it down into parts. Very simple. So an instrument in writing. So first of all, as you can see नीचे आपको जो इधर हमने specimen दिखाया, it's an instrument in writing. It has to be written. Writing can even be typed, but it has to be on paper. What does it contain? Containing an unconditional order. ये bill of exchange के अंदर जो language है, जो words है, it is not a request, it is not a promise, it is an order. Okay? And what kind of an order is it? Unconditional. We are not going to say here Mr. A, who was the seller, A is not going to say, please pay me if you have money, please pay if India wins the World Cup, please pay me the money if I can play Garba tonight. No. There is no condition. It's an order. Mujhe paisa do, pay me the money. Okay? Signed by the maker. So the maker here is drawer. The first party of the bill, the person who draws the bill. जिस बंदे ने bill of exchange बनाया, जो इधर the person who will sign here, that person is called as the drawer. No connection with your showcase or your cupboard. Drawer, because it is drawn by that person. Directing certain person to pay. Directing means instructing, ordering. Instruction दिया जा रहा है, उसको बोला जा रहा है भाई तुम पैसा दो. Now who is this certain person? Drawee. That drawee, that is debtor, in our example Mr. B. So he has been given that order that you must pay me the money. A certain sum of money, again the amount is also clearly mentioned. It is not like pay me rupees 20,000 plus GST, pay me 20,000 plus interest or fine. No, pay me rupees this much only. It is clearly mentioned. So there is no ambiguity. कुछ confusion, misunderstanding के लिए जगह ही नहीं है. Only to or to the order of a certain person. Payment किसको करना है? Who is to be paid? To that person or to his order. That means, पहली बात तो यहाँ third person आ गया. Who is this third person? Payee. So once again, instrument in writing, okay, containing an unconditional order, signed by the maker in a drawer. Drawer has signed it. Directing a certain person. वो जो certain person है वो कौन है? Drawee. A certain sum of money to a certain person. वो certain person कौन है? Payee. So if you remember, here we write pay to Mr. C. So if inside the bill, in the body of the bill, if you are writing pay to Mr. C, then Mr. C is the payee. Is that fine? And it is not necessary that we have to write only the name of Mr. C. It is even to C or his order. So Mr. C, if on the due date Mr. C says, no, I am very busy, प्लीज पे टू मिस्टर डी, डी को पैसे दो, तो द ड्रॉई विल हैव टू पे मनी टू डी. Is that fine? Everybody clear on this? And last part, or to the bearer. Just like you have a bearer check, just like you have a bearer promissory note, same way you can have a bearer bill. Everybody remembers what is a bearer check? Just like this is a bearer promissory note, which can be transferred by mere delivery. It can be just handed over. Same way, your check which can be transferred by mere delivery is called bearer check. Same thing about bearer bill. So that's it about the definition. Now in this definition itself, I already explained there are three parties to a bill of exchange: drawer, drawee and payee. And the drawee is also called acceptor. So if a person draws the bill, he is the drawer. Drawer definitely has to be the creditor. So before A decides to draw a bill on B, A must be his creditor and B must be the debtor. Are we good so far? And once the bill is drawn, then this person is called as the acceptor. When the bill is drawn, if you remember from one of my earlier sessions, I had told you when the bill is drawn, it is called a draft. Yaad hai? The draft is sent by A to B. B will accept it and then it will become a bill of exchange. Okay. Once B accepts it, he is also called as the acceptor. What happens if A says in the bill, pay to me or my order? If in that bill of exchange, A says, pay to me or my order, then it means that A himself is the payee. कोई third person नहीं, there is no third person, there is no C here, but A himself becomes the payee. Am I clear to you? So sir, A is the drawer or the payee? Okay, Aditya has a doubt. So Aditya is saying, what is the role of the payee here? So Aditya, here payee is not Mr. C, payee is Mr. A. In this case, if it is said pay to me or my order, then there is no third person involved. There are three parties, yes. A himself is the drawer. When A draws the bill, he is the drawer. And on the due date, when the amount of bill is being paid, at that time his role changes to Mr. P. Banda ek hi hai, it is A. But today the bill is drawn, he is the drawer. After 2 months, when the due date comes, he himself is the payee. There is no C or D or E involved here. Did you understand? It's like Bahubali. It's the same actor, Prabhas. First he was Amarendra, and then Mahendra and Amarendra. I don't know the order. I hope you understand. Mahendra Bahubali. Okay? Then. Now, this chart you will see even in your module. Okay? You will see this distinguish between bill of exchange and promissory note. It could be asked sometime in your exam also. So, make sure that you study it well. So, the bill contains an unconditional order to pay. Okay, it contains an unconditional order. Whereas promissory note contains promise. Just like I showed you that 200 rupee note. The governor has said, I promise to pay. Then, in a bill of exchange, there are three parties, just as we saw now. In a promissory note, there are two parties, maker and payee. Because in case of a promissory note, who will promise? The debtor. The debtor himself is the maker. And the person who is going to get the money is the payee. Anybody of you who is confused about the word payee, just remember, pay dash, whosoever name, जिसका भी नाम इधर लिखा है, that person is the payee. Even in case of a check, even in case of a check, if let us say you issue a check to, let's say your housing society, so pay, and there in front of the pay word you will write the name of your society. So that society is the payee. Very simple. Okay. Who pays the bill of exchange? Acceptor. Who pays the promissory note? Maker. Who draws the bill of exchange? Creditor. I told you just now. And who draws the promissory note? Debtor. Now, just as we discussed, this important point here, drawer and payee may be the same. अभी जो example दिया, this one. The drawer and payee may be the same, but in case of promissory note, maker and payee cannot be same, because maker is the person who is going to pay. Pay is the person who is going to get, receive. So it's a north pole, south pole, दोनों कभी same नहीं हो सकता. In a bill of exchange, oh by the way, I can even scold Sarika here a little, because Sarika was my offline student around 10 years, 12 years back. She was actually my student here in Mumbai, but then she shifted out of here, and now after a long gap she is getting back on track and doing her CA, which was her dream earlier but which could not happen because of some reasons. So if I ever shout at, not shout, but if I do a little bit of masti or some joke on Sarika, don't get shocked, because Sarika and her brother, her uncle, everyone have been taught by me, and now even Sarika's niece here in my offline classes. So Sarika, I am sorry, I just thought of letting people know. So in a bill of exchange, the liability of drawer is secondary and conditional. What does that mean? If I draw the bill on, let us say, Aditya, and I discount it with the bank, I sell it to the bank. Later on, bank is going to take money from Aditya. If Aditya dishonors the bill, if Aditya does not pay the money, तो bank will take the money from me. Right? So my liability is conditional. It is secondary. It may or may not happen. I hope the point is clear. If the drawee does not pay, then I may need to pay. Clear? But in a promissory note, the liability of maker is primary and absolute. Now, if I give you a promissory note in which I have written, I promise to pay, the liability is on me. I cannot shift it to anyone else. Make sense? I hope so. A bill of exchange can be accepted conditionally. So, in your module, please check something called as qualified acceptance. There is a part in your module which is called types of acceptance in your study material. Just check. So, bill of exchange can be accepted conditionally, whereas promissory note cannot be made conditionally. I cannot write in the promissory note, I promise to pay, let's say, Mr. XYZ if it rains in Bengaluru tomorrow. ऐसा मैं नहीं कर सकता. ठीक है? In a bill of exchange, notice of dishonor must be given. Now this is purely a legal thing. आप law में पढ़ोगे इसके बारे में. And notice of dishonor is not required in case of promissory. In case of dishonor, a bill of exchange must be noted and protested. That means you must go to the government officer called notary public. Do you all know who this fellow is? सबको notary public कौन है मालूम है? Do you remember? That government officer to whom you must go to lodge your complaint. Okay? And noting and protesting is not required. अगर promissory noted is not required.